Guys, welcome back to the Motion Raceworks YouTube channel. Today we're back on the Calypso project. We introduced this a few weeks ago, and this is a project I said we're going to chip away at little details, come up with new product ideas, and work on some of the project. We want this thing to be a crisp driver. We have some big plans for it. We're going to use it in the future, and it's been a while since we built a hot rod, like I said. Something that is not race-oriented 100%. And we're really excited about it. I think it's got our wheels turning as far as like what we should do and how we can improve it and make it better. I'll be honest with you, dude, it's been hard to fight the wolves off. Like, we're trying to not turn this into a race car, and we got Mike Pryke over here trying to order a drag he's trying to order small fronts and, you know,
it's
beadlock rears, but like, we all have to fight that urge, right?
Well, yeah, it's just like that's your mind automatically just goes to, oh, let's make all the power and go to the drag strip when we're just gonna make the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
like,
that's
like
kind of where we've been at here the last few weeks since we first introduced it. Going back to the car, we've driven it a little bit more. I think there's some things we like and don't like about it. First being the catch can. This thing had just like the cheesiest little catch can thing on there that wasn't really a catch can. It was kind of like an oil separator.
Yeah, like a water separator,
like
almost.
The size of
like
a thimble and
inline, and yeah, it's just you know, it's a first modification you're going to do to a lot of cars this style that come with a factory engine that don't you know, catch any of the contaminants coming out of the crankcase. So it's right on the first thing on the list.
So we're going to go ahead and dive into that. These Coyotes are particularly terrible about PCV from my recollection. When we developed our active two-stage catch can, which is essentially like a no-smelt style catch can that recirculates but also filters oil out, we had a Coyote S197, oddly enough, at our shop, and it was the worst of the worst. If you had a filter on top and like a regular race catch can, it was just unbearable how disgusting it was smell-wise, and it moved a lot of, it seemed to make a lot, so.
Yeah, they have a lot of crankcase pressure from the factory, and once you modify them, they get even worse. Like you said, it's pretty known. And then, you know, they have a pretty intense baffle system on the valve cover, but there's so much oil being slung around the valve cover from the dual overhead cam that it's impossible to keep it all out. It has some factory drain backs and stuff that just doesn't work well with an aftermarket catch can. So developing that catch can on this engine was the best thing we could have did because it was the worst one there was. So it was the worst example for that.
Yeah, and we kind of did it on accident because it was the most stockish vehicle we had sitting around. So two things. Like I said, if you have a standard race catch can on these and you drive it a lot, it can be pretty unbearable from the smell standpoint because of what Brett said.
Yep.
But also, you don't want to put an ineffective catch can on this thing and dump a bunch of oil back in the intake because then you lead to detonation, all kinds of like valve crap stuff that happens. And
like you said, on a car that you're going to drive, the recirculating catch can it's just nice. Like if this was in an S197 it would have came in, the intake for the air conditioner is like right where everyone mounts the catch can because it's like it's a good spot for it. So basically you're just breathing in crankcase fumes.
Yeah, it's unbearable.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And we've all seen the intakes come off where they're just caked with oil. So that's what we're trying to avoid because for now we're going to drive this thing a little bit and maybe take it to the track and stuff like that. But later on down the road, here in the next like few months, we're gonna modify it and put some type of power adder likely on it.
Yep.
And the last thing you want is have a bunch of oil in the intake and going through the engine, and we'll just solve that problem, guys. So I talked about last time we did the brake upgrade on the front. I got those TBM XS3s. I got quite a few miles on them, and they're fantastic. Of course, I sound a little biased, but we're still waiting on the C-clip eliminators out back. So once those come in, we can do the rears. So that's why we're going to start doing some of this in the meantime and crisping up the rest of the car to go along with things. Yep. All right, guys, so this is our new active two-stage catch can. We released this several months ago, and it was the result of years of work, honestly. We wanted something that was really effective. We didn't just want a Me Too product or something that, you know, just simply filled the void. We wanted to create something really good. So that's what we have. It looks a lot like our standard catch can in the fact that it has two ports, but it's completely different internally. It has a pretty complex baffling and valve check ball type of situation going on in there, which is really designed to do more than our race catch can. Our race catch can is just to get the pressure out and collect the oil. This one is to get the pressure out, collect the oil, and then put the pressure back in an intake, right?
Right. Yeah. So the race one, the oil goes in there and it basically can't come out. But on a recirculated catch can, the baffle system has to be in place because we're going to have vacuum actually pulling through, so that would suck the oil out of the can. So that's where the baffle system came into place, because we're
more complex baffle system.
Right, a more complex baffle, because you're actually sucking it out. It's not just blowing from the one way, from the other one. So yeah, so we're gonna have a vacuum source directly from the engine going here, and then we're gonna recirculate the top back to the valve cover. So again, it's not venting to atmosphere, so we don't have that smell.
Yeah, so it'll be a very comparable system to the factory, but with the ability to pull the oil out rather than just get the crankcase pressure and put it right back into the intake. So, like I said, it looks pretty similar, but it's quite a bit different. The nice thing about this can is it's built for NA or boosted application. It has check valves in it to relieve the pressure out the top if it does get boost. It does all the things and can grow with your build over time.
It's like you said, it's the best of both worlds in that case, because it's going to work like the factory PCV system is, but it's also going to catch the oil and has a reservoir large enough so you don't have to drain it every week.
Yep. So today we're going to be using our kit, right, that is on our website. I'll put the link down in the description below. But this kit is made to be, a really good looking kit that adapts without having to spend tons and tons of money on AN fittings and all that stuff. Comes with a nice Gates rubber hose, these factory style quick releases in the right sizes, and then we have the barb side on the catch can. This thing can be mounted on a variety of different ways because of how the bolt holes are in it. That's how all of our catch cans are. And this tops and swivels, so we'll go get to install before we turn this into too much of a tech deal, but we're gonna get this installed, and I think probably like right here maybe for that thing, right?
Yeah, we don't have anything ever probably going to go there, so it's a good spot for it. It's pretty common.
Even if we do a turbo or a blower, that side will probably be where that hangs out naturally. So yeah, that probably is where it belongs.
Right. Let me get something to take that out.
All right, so the first step, because this is a pull through, a draw through style catch can, we're always going to leave this cold air inlet. So basically what we're doing is the system is going to basically draw air, filtered air through the engine into the catch can and then back into the engine on the intake side. So this is a crucial part, but I think the first step is that this thing does have a factory connection there.
Yep. And yeah, it's a factory PCV valve that we're going to remove the inside so it's just straight through.
Okay. Yep. So. You can actually see how nasty that is. So that means the oil is actually hitting that.
Oh yeah, the oil is definitely going through it. So this has a ball check valve in there. That little plastic piece is just pressed in, so that just pulls out and the ball comes out and then straight through. And the check valve will now be inside the catch can.
Okay.
Is it?
So now it's straight through. So now that's going to not obstruct anything. There's a check valve on this side of things. So if it gets positive crankcase pressure or anything like that, vacuum, it's going to operate the same way, but not obstruct the flow that's going to be going through there, because we're trying to flow an increased amount of PCV through that same fitting and the same fitting size.
Exactly, there's no need for the redundancy. We do make AN adapters to this quick lock. If you did want to do a system in AN, you can piece it together yourself. And we have the adapters that screw right into the factory valve covers like these.
All right, so while he does that, I want to show you guys our newest toy here at TBM. We got 2 robots going at once, which is pretty epic. So we just got a new robot on this Mazak that changes parts out and runs for a lot of hours unattended. Basically, business has gotten busy enough where it's kind of a necessity. So we're in this fairly small building, but trying to do as much as we possibly can. So essentially is loading these pucks in there before and after machining. What's cool about this is we can basically build parts at night. So if we have like a run on something, we can just put them on here and run them at night and come back in the morning. They're all done and ready to go. Also during the day, these guys stay really busy with quality control and stuff, so they can focus on that while we, while these things load and unload the parts. nobody really likes to load and unload the same part all day, every day. So it takes the monotonous work out of it and makes everything a lot more efficient. So beyond YouTube, we do make parts all day, every day. That's kind of our main deal, because YouTube definitely doesn't pay the bills. So this thing's pretty cool. All right, guys, so if you haven't seen this, this is going to change your life. If you have, you can just fast forward through it. This is a riv nut, so when you're installing things like a catch can in your engine bay, where it's kind of can't get to the backside or can't get to it easily, or just don't want to, this is essentially a rivet that crushes around sheet metal, and then the bottom has threaded holes, so you can easily drill and use this tool, which is like 30 bucks online, but you can basically create a threaded hole that doesn't require a nut on the backside very easily. This is a huge win for race car stuff, especially stuff that's easy to work on and you don't want to have two people there trying to tighten things up. I like to use them a lot on firewalls and then floors and trunks and all that stuff. Just makes everything so much easier as far as mounting and use. All right, so we actually just created this remote drain kit recently. So opens up our mounting options quite a bit, because we can just drill that straight through that hole, or through the floor.
Yeah, through the floor.
We can just, yeah, whatever you want to call it, floor at the bottom. So we can mount that as low as we want, honestly, because then we can just drain it from underneath the car. I think that looks good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and drill some holes in this really nice painted piece. Brett's favorite specialty.
Yeah, no problem.
He has no motion to it. All right, so you're gonna want to use a little pilot hole. You can mark it on the bracket, and then you get a drill bit that's just slightly bigger than this, and come back on the pilot hole and drill it out. So we'll do that now. So here's like an example, because it's probably gonna be hard to show you guys on the car, but you'll see that it brings this into that and creates like a little fold zone. So you can imagine it's going to squeeze the sheet metal in between.
Yeah, the material will set right in there.
Yeah. It's a really effective thing, even OE uses it. There's different thickness versions for that, so you can do it on thicker or thinner stuff. There's different like thread sizes and all that. Pretty cool. So once you screw it in, you unscrew that. You got yourself a hole. All right, so now, usually our catch can brackets have 4 holes, but 2 is plenty. We'll just put 2 in.
Hey, we still got to conserve weight. I mean,
yeah.
After all, we'll be bringing it to the track.
All right, so on this catch can, there's this top here. It's got this hold down that goes in the back here. If you put it in the wrong hole, you can see that these aren't like circular, perfect around the radius. So it needs to go in one of the back 3. But this thing will rotate, so you can kind of get an optimal pointing of all that stuff. So our goal, make it lay out as good as it works, which I think we accomplished. Rika, got a good project for you. Remove that terrible dash gauge pod thing. Oh yeah, Monster 5-inch in the shift light and all the other gauges that you can't look at while you're driving. Yeah, get that taken out. Not only do they look terrible, they actually flew off into my lap the last time I drove it, and had some spirited driving, so I'm hoping underneath there isn't too ugly, but if
kind of debating between like,
I think that angle would be great.
Yeah.
Just because there's straight fittings coming off of there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did this in AN hose, you could obviously change the angle of those fittings, but since we have the rubber style hose, factory style hose, we're a little limited on our angularity. But like I said before, the nice thing is that we have all these different hole mounting options, so you can kind of rotate that thing to accommodate your plumbing rather than the plumbing accommodates. So a lot of people look at that and think there's a plug in there. That's actually a umbrella, I think is what they call it, style valve. So that's going to open when it's got pressure in it to relieve it for positive pressure situations. So that's how it gets the pressure out, essentially. So don't take that out. So we'll leave that on there, bolt that top on, and then we'll route our lines. Most factory vehicles have a 5/8 or a 3/8, so pretty easy to identify the two differences. We carry a whole line of straight 90 45s on our website. We even have some caps. A lot of people end up using rubber caps, but we have some caps as well. So you don't have to, those vacuum caps seem to get hot and crack over time, and then you have vacuum leaks. So you just push the hose right on these things. They're pretty simple, and then they have a barb that retains it. All right, well, yeah, but how ugly is it behind there?
Yeah, not needed. Water temp, oil pressure, and a big old tack with the ship light. We're gonna have something cooler for this.
Maybe we can have a raffle for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how ugly it is behind there. Oh. That's kind of nice.
I was like, for a minute, I was like,
It's like literally just this little hole here. Well, I might.
No new gauges, no new gauges.
So I was like, if this oil pressure, like, we could do that.
We'll see. We'll see. You look good in this car.
It's less holes than El Toro's dash.
I don't feel like El Toro should be a bar that anything is compared against in terms
Box
of
body,
niceness.
it's box body.
Oh man, I am a little afraid about where those wires go, but
I'm gonna find out now.
we'll figure that out. A lot.
Switch down here too. I don't know what that's for.
Yeah, who knows what that switch is for?
Oh,
Most
yeah.
of them are a lot bigger of a mess than this at this point.
Right.
The funny part is did you guys even pay attention? You drove it. Did those gauges even work?
No, they kind of came and went.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I never paid attention.
Yeah, they kind of worked.
Yeah.
As long as we don't find a like Viper alarm hacked into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ignition switch. Then,
If that happens, we're just going to push outside and
we're
burn
gonna
it all
push
down.
Yeah. Then it's gonna aftermarket ECU rewind.
All right, guys, so like 20 minutes into this project and we already have some product ideas. Can't tell you now, but I'm just telling you. This project is more than just for fun. Me and Brett, kind of like collectively, the two of us are always scheming along with the guys from Iowa, so it's good. You guys are going to see some of the benefits of this whole project down the road beyond the content.
Yeah, and it'll fit into a lot of resto mod bills because, you know, that's pretty popular. We have parts for factory cars, but, you know, taking a newer engine, putting in an older car, best there is.
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff we're going to develop off of this is going to apply anything from the 40s to newer that have this style engine or an engine similar to it. Okay, I shot this about 3 different times, guys, but I'm just redoing the video because I want to make it really simple to understand this. Sometimes these closed system catch can setups can be a little confusing because on a typical catch can, you just take each valve cover to a vented catch can in the corner, and then that vents the atmosphere. But there's a specific way this all needs to be plumbed, and I figured if I did it step by step, especially after watching the video, it gets a little confusing. So we'll start from the top. These catch cans are designed to be a pull-through system. So it's just pulling air through one side of the engine into the other, and then back into the intake. The goal is to pull the crankcase pressure out of the system and put it back into the intake using vacuum, also removing all of the particulate that would be leaving the engine and putting it and collecting it in the catch can so it doesn't go back into the intake. So essentially is a very factory-like function, but we have a better collection system through a series of design baffles and check valves and all that stuff in that catch can. That's what makes it so great. The factory one is pretty similar up until this point. It then has a check valve and then goes right back into the engine, which puts oil right back into the intake, causes problems with oil in the mixture and valve buildup and all that stuff, especially on DI engines. All right, so now we've established that, let's talk about the system design. For most vehicles, this line, you're still going to have a factory one, and that is coming straight from the intake into the first valve cover. That would be like your fresh air line. It's taking filtered air and running it through the engine. From there, it is coming out the other side. So this is going to be your crankcase line on your catch can. So this is going to be your positive pressure and or the particulate that's coming out of the engine. Next line is your vacuum line. So that's going to be post throttle body, so an actual vacuum source. And that's what's going to help pull this through the series of baffles and everything like that. This line itself has a check valve built into the actual catch can. And then from there, all of your oil is going to go through a series of baffles and valves. And then it's going to exit out the top. Now you technically could put a filter on here, but we chose to put a recirculating top. We call it our True Seal top on this. This top will then take, anytime there's positive air pressure, it's going to come out the top. There's a valve actually right below here, and then it's going to put it back into the intake, pre-throttle body, so that means this is not going to be a vacuum source. It's essentially going to exhaust the catch can pressure while leaving the oil behind here. You'll see a huge dramatic increase in how clean the air is coming back into the intake in this type of a system. This is going to be very clean air coming back in there and not a bunch of oily, greasy mess versus the factory that hooks it right back up. Even some of the factory cars have a plastic catch can, and those are typically just a reservoir, so they still end up having a decent amount of oil to get in there. So this is a beneficial thing on applications you want to keep oil out of the intake, which is essentially anything. So that's it in a nutshell. I wanted to make sure it was as easy as possible. We use these quick disconnects from the factory style on everything. And you can use AN, of course. We have a whole series of AN adapters, but that's how the system works. Well, Preka, what'd you find?
The dash is almost a little looser than it was when I started. Seems to be one more bolt that I haven't found yet. But we're getting there. Wiring doesn't look too terrible under here. A mystery switch that we found, and that's about it, really. So not terrible.
All right.
No more holes.
Just preserve this black interior because it's pretty rare.
Yep.
All right, Brett, what do you got there?
So this is our Dakota Digital. It's our new dash display. As you guys saw, we got rid of the old style monster tack and individual gauges. This will go in where the factory cluster is, hook up to our CAN on our OBD2 port, and import the data from the engine's ECU and look factory. So check it out.
So Dakota Digital, if you guys haven't seen, they're a company out of South Dakota, I think. But I've used them on a number of builds. Their stuff interfaces with different factory ECUs through the OBD2 port, and it also will interface with a lot of aftermarket ECUs. Their stuff, like Brett said, looks super factory. I'm pumped about this because really on this deal, like the big tack from the 90s isn't really working for us. Like we're not putting like a Vortec small block Ford in this thing and going to the track on big and little tires.
Right, this fits our build more than
yeah, we want this thing to be like a new Mustang packaged in an old Fox body in as many ways as possible. So these guys are cool to deal with. You call up and they're real hot rodders. So I think I have a good feeling about them because I've used them on my Nova. It's been a flawless deal. Gives you that factory look while also delivering you the data you want to see.
Yep, and I've never used them, but looking on the site, I think you can wire in aftermarket sensors and gauges too that maybe isn't on your factory if you wanted to have the thing.
And there's a selector, so there's like usually a screen off to the side that you can configure for a couple gauges, and then obviously you have your tack, oil pressure, all that stuff.
You know, like the fuel gauge from the car will work.
Yeah, so this is their RTX series, and it looks, I'll show you guys, I'll compare it to the factory one, but that looks factory.
Yeah, it's a CNC bezel, like you can tell when you hold it in the back, like this is a really nice piece.
Yep, and they actually just got done with another run of these, so I hope they did enough, because I think once you guys see these, they're going to sell pretty well.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty sick.
You have your battery voltage, your water temp, obviously your tack, speedo, fuel gauge, and oil pressure, and like Brett said, it comes off CAN. And then typically one of these two, or maybe both, I haven't read the instructions, there's a QR code there, but you can usually set that to like boost or wideband or whatever.
Yeah, there's a digital output in there, right? It's selectable through. You can probably scroll through it too.
They're sick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
For a build like this, it's a no-brainer. It's what needs to be in there. So this is the interface. It has a connector here. It looks like I guess that would be a female, or is that a male connector for the OBD2? That's
probably a pass-through. No, it's not. Yeah, that's the feel. So that'll just plug in the OBD2 port, and then this will plug in the back of the gauge cluster, and then it pulls power from there also, so I don't even think you have to.
You don't even have to wire it up, so I think you might have to put power to that.
Yeah.
That's it. This is so sick. And then a lot of times, like these factory ones this one's all scratched up, but holy crap. You literally can't tell the difference, which is exactly what we want. We want this thing to look like it came here. So with that, I think we'll get rid of this voltage gauge here, and we're going to be back to pretty much like a factory Fox body interior. So it's got a speedo gear.
Right, converter to a hall sensor.
Well, we need that?
Yeah, because this one has mechanical cable.
Oh, okay.
Like to the cluster.
Cool. Yeah. That's stuff I wasn't aware of. All right, so now you guys can actually, I'm not going to take that off yet, but you can actually see. All right, so mid-level overview. I won't call it a high-level overview. just so you guys are intimidated by wiring, there's literally a ground, a 12-volt constant power, so right from the battery or power post, and an ignition power, so obviously anything that turns a key on. That's really the extent of the wiring you have to do, especially if you have an OBD2 port. There's this quick connect plug right here that'll plug into that box right here on the switch input. This is like how you program stuff. There's like a series of like 1s and 2s if I remember right. As far as the actual unit, this plug right here will be plugged into right here, and I don't know what that one's for. Alright, so I figured out what this little one is here. It's a speaker, so I don't even know what that connects to.
Well, it's probably to imitate the stock buzzer, like if the key's on kind of deal, so
yeah.
just throw that right away, because everyone hates the stock buzzer.
But it is a cool option. I think they made this thing about as factory-ish as possible.
Yeah. No, it's pretty slick. Just the fact that it bolts in and looks stock is cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
Yeah.
Most people look at it and not even imagine that it's anything, and that's what we're going for. All right. Brett's got this thing rigged up over here. We're just like kids, we can't wait till actually like finish it.
New toy.
Oh yeah, that's cool. You guys probably can't see it that well like we can, but it's got warning light places, everything. Man, it even shows voltage already. This thing's pretty legit. All right, guys, so that's it. Didn't mean to turn this into a Dakota Digital commercial, but I'm really excited about their stuff. They make such nice, if you're building this type of cruiser, it's really not hard to use and it's really nice. So, yep, now we got gauge. Oh boy. All right, Brett, how was that install? Well, before we talk about the install, let's talk about how bad was it?
Oh, so it wasn't, I mean, as predicted, cars this age, a lot of people have worked on them and done some stuff. And earlier I was like, hopefully there's not a Viper alarm installed, because usually they hack the ignition harness like really close and do that. Luckily that wasn't done, but the harness was cut into, because the aftermarket gauges that were up there, they spliced into the ignition wire. They had a starter wire for the control pack, and it was all like a series of different style butt connectors and electrical tape.
Oh my gosh. A lot of quality connections involved in this.
Yeah, not to mention it's got like 14 gauge wire run into the gauge. It's just not necessary. It's no amperage.
This one's a particular quality. There's 1, 2, 3 butt connectors within about 4 inches.
Yeah, and that was down at the key switch. That was like the main ignition source for the whole entire car.
And it kind of looks like it was on fire, so we don't know if that happened when they were trying to heat shrink non-heat shrinkable butt connectors or what it was. But
it was one of those cases where I went down there and put my hand on it, and some of them pulled out too. So then I was kind of have to like, all right, figure out where it goes.
that one just fell apart actually in my hand as you were talking. So
Exactly. It was too nice of a car to have what was in it. So I kind of had to, we weren't planning on redoing that, but you have to make it right.
yeah. So Dakota Digital is installed. So yeah, we're gonna be moving on to the rear end. We got some C-clip eliminator axles.
Yep.
And new gear set, because this thing has like a 513 gear in it.
You almost have to start in second.
Yeah, like
when you drive.
you can't even drive across the parking lot in first gear.
Yeah, it's geared for like an all-out Coyote stock NA class racing car, which is not the purpose. We want to make it
we're trying to have a cruiser.
Drive. Right.
So we're gonna go ahead and get work on this.
Okay, so as you saw, we got the rear end completely disassembled. We got the ends cut off, and it's basically prepped for assembly. We got the gears out. It indeed had a 456 rear gear. So, you know, that was pretty steep. In racing an NA application, that was probably pretty good. But for what we're going to do, and in anticipation of adding more horsepower, we're going to put a 331 in. Feel like that gear is going to be a good balance between fast enough and really nice and fun to drive with the ratios that are in that T56. And we are doing the C-clip eliminator swap. And if you haven't seen a C-clip axle before, these are them laid out together. Basically, there's a C-clip, and this goes on the end of the axle, and that is all that's holding the axle into the car. And as you accelerate hard, the axles are trying to push out of the car, and this button, as they call it on the end, breaks off, and then your axle comes out, and you have a bad day. So with a C-clip eliminator style, the bearing is pressed onto the axle instead of in the housing, and then that's actually what holds the axle in place, is that press fit. Slides into the carrier, and then nothing needs to be done in there. This also allows us to run a fixed caliper. On a C-clip style axle, there's play in the axle in this clip because it's not a tight clearance and it has to be able to have that play. With that, then the rotor is actually moving. So without a floating caliper, you can't run a fixed caliper brake on this because the rotor is going to be in a different position all the time. So we go to this, the axle stays steady, it's stronger. We can run a fixed caliper brake, which is a lot stronger and better off long term. Okay, so the rear end is together, backlash is set, pinion bearing preload is set, everything is good to go there. We're ready to install our brakes. So this is our XS3, our street brake line, uses a vented rotor, aluminum hat, and then 4-piston billet caliper. This kit is for the C-clip eliminator, so it comes with this bracket. This bracket is going to sandwich between the axle housing and the C-clip eliminator bearing that's pressed onto the axle. It's going to go onto the axle housing like this, then we're going to slide the axle in and bolt it together. One of the common complaints with C-clip eliminators is that they leak. The reason they leak is just basically if we didn't do a good job sealing them, because there's two places that they can leak, against the bracket and then the axle bearing against here. So what we're going to do is make sure this is good and clean. You can see I've already wire wheeled it nice and clean. We're going to use RTV on this side of the bearing around this circle, and then also here between this flange. So that way when it bolts together, it's going to be glued all the way around and isn't going to leak. Now, one thing to make sure that you do a good job of, we ordered this C-clip eliminator kit and the bearings came pressed on the axles already. A lot of the kits, they come separate. Where this bearing is pressed on, it comes with specifications of a height. This height is your brake spacing, and the kit is made to the specification that whoever your C-clip eliminator kit comes from is. So make sure you get this bearing pressed on to the right spot, otherwise the brake kit's not going to fit correctly. So if you go to install something, you feel like it's not doing it correctly, double check this measurement. You might have to move the bearing on some or pull it off some. I've already double checked these, they're good to go. So we're going to go ahead, apply the sealant. For this, I'm going to use Ultra Black. It's an old tube, as you can see, and move on. Brackets on, axles in, bolts are torqued. Next step is just the rotor's going to go on, caliper's going to go on. Pretty straightforward from there, direct bolts on. Check the instructions. One thing you're always going to check on any of our brakes, street race or race brakes, is the rotor shimming. So we're going to slide the pads into the rotor, make sure the space is even on each side, the clearance, and then shim the caliper accordingly, so that way the pistons get applied even. So make sure you double check that when you do your install. Other than that, we're going to bleed the brakes and be ready to rip.
Brett, what did you just say about this? It's the gear change.
So the rear gear transformed this car into twitchy, felt slow before, and we put the 331 in it in anticipation we're going to make more power later and make it more enjoyable, and it's actually fun to drive now. Like,
it's a cruiser after
it's
all.
yeah, it's just smooth, it's nice, you know, it's not all jerky. Like that 456 is a lot of gear with that combination with that transmission, with the steep first and second gear ratio. So yeah, you have to drive it.
We're doing everything in our power, folks, to not make this a race car, and this is proof of it.
No, like I just drove it around the block to make sure the fan and stuff was turning on from the wiring that I did, and I was like, holy cow, this is actually a pretty enjoyable car, and it feels faster because like it's in the gear for, you know, you can accelerate it.
Yeah, you're not just banging gears so hard.
Right. Brakes feel great, steer's good.
We're gonna drive
This
it.
thing actually is.
Oh, reverse is better. we would have been at red line already.
What makes the clutch work a little easier?
Yeah, the clutch was just like freaking crazy. Oh yeah, that's way better. The clutch felt like it was just gonna break a drive shaft just driving around the parking lot. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we would have been in fourth gear.
Yeah. It feels like, it reminds me of driving like a Fox body with a small block back in the old days, because it sounds like that, but like it just has a lot more power, which is kind of overkill.
Yeah, it feels so much better.
Yeah. I don't know whoever decided they were going to put a 456 in. Don't do it at home if you have a 356 Magnum.
Right, it's not worth a couple tenths of ET or whatever it was going to pick up.
Yeah, unless you were only a track car.
It drives nice now, right?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It actually drives as good as like a... Right, you know, I'd say you did a pretty darn good job on the gear setup in this thing. Has zero whine, coast, or power side.
Yeah, it may be too quiet.
Yeah, just doesn't really feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right to have an 8.8. It's quiet.
We were just talking about, like, it's been so long since we built a driver street car. It's like, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's like easier than trying to worry about going 220 or 40 mile an hour or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like you can set it up. It doesn't need crazy parts in it, and then you can more factory stuff, and it just works well.
Yeah, there's more bolt together stuff. It's actually kind of soothing, honestly, for your soul. You're like, I did it. It's done. Yeah. It probably won't break.
Right, and it drives better than it did before, so it made a huge improvement.
Yep, and it's a better car. Pretty cool. Don't do it here, but like go out in the street, see if it does a better burnout than it used to do. Oh man. Oh man. Oh.
It needs a line lock.
It needs a line lock and some more power.
Yeah.
All right, so it doesn't do a better burnout. It needs more power. That's absolute fact. All right, so fact of the matter is, car drives better, but it does need more power still. It's not a burnout champion like it should be, so. All right, guys, so that's it for this episode on our Calypso Fox body street car build. We got a lot more coming to you here pretty soon. We're going to continue the updates, and it's about time to add some power to this project. It's really cool. It's really refined. I feel like we've worked out a lot of the bugs, but we just can't keep driving this thing like this. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue working on this thing, and here before too long, we're going to add some more power to it. This project is going to keep getting better and better. And we've already developed some products, or started to develop some products off of it. So we're gonna have some more tech tips, some more build videos, and everything else to go along with it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.